It's 11:30 a.m. UK time. I have not slept whatsoever. We keep pushing. Like and subscribe, because after I was done with my UFC 300 fight companion, Dana White announced some massive news in the post-fight press conference with 3 huge fights across 2 pay-per-views in June. Take it away, Dana, and then we're going to break down the fights afterwards. Go for it, Dana. Let's have a listen.
June 1st. Newark, New Jersey pay-per-view. Main event, Islam versus Poirier.
Huge fight. I'll tell you how I feel about it in a second. Massive fight on the June pay-per-view of UFC 302. We needed some fights for that card. That's massive news. Go right ahead, Dana. Announce some more. The way he's casually announcing this, by the way, he knows he cooks with UFC 300. He knows he's cooking with these announcements as well. Dana White is feeling himself as he announces these fights, dude. He's subtly chucking out these big fights.
Oh, let's go. Shit.
Co-main event, 5 rounds. Strickland versus Costa.
Huge. Massive fight. That's enough of a card on its own. Anything else, Dana White?
June 29th.
He knows he's cooking. Look at him feeling himself with that little grin. He knows he's cooking, you beautiful bald. Fuck. All good. Keep going.
Conor versus Chandler. 5 rounds, 170 pounds.
170, though. I don't understand 170. McGregor does as he pleases. 170 is I don't know why we're doing 170. Fight in your weight class. I don't understand the point in that whatsoever. All good, though. 3 massive announcements. I guess we'll start with... should we end with McGregor Chandler? Because we've known about this matchup for quite some time. Let's start with Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Announced for the main event of June the 1st. We needed a main event of that pay-per-view. And I was going through the roster and I was telling people before... It's got to be Makhachev Poirier or someone who wins in this event. Either that be Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje or Max Holloway. Because there's no one else. Volkanovski's not going to fight anytime soon. Neither is Ilya. Bantamweight, O'Malley's not fighting anytime soon. Flyweight's already booked up. Welterweight, maybe it could have been, but I guess now that's guaranteed for the UK card in Manchester. We know that, so we're going to get 2 title fights in the UK. That might as well be confirmed as well. And then middleweight, waiting for August. Light heavyweight, just happened. Heavyweight, waiting for the UK, and Jones ain't fighting because Aspinall is his next fight, so he's going to wait it out and fight Stipe because he's a coward. Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. First of all, Dustin Poirier does not deserve a title fight. I'm hyped by this matchup. Makhachev is going to win this matchup. I watched Benoit Saint Denis with staph infection walk down Poirier, take him down. Poirier's jumping guillotines, and he's getting dominant positions in the grappling over Dustin Poirier. He's not a grappler since birth. He's a soldier who picked up MMA. Islam Makhachev gets those positions on Dustin Poirier. He's going to finish him. I would predict... in a fantasy world where logic and MMA, you know how MMA sometimes just makes sense and we have a full circle moment? Poirier pulls a guillotine. Islam Makhachev breaks the grip, gets to half guard. Von Flue chokes him through it. That would be my prediction for this fight. Why is Dustin Poirier getting a title shot? I don't understand why the UFC is now in a position where they're scrambling to get fights booked. Sort out your scheduling. I'm hating this right now. We're getting situations where we've got 3 legacy matchups a lot of the time for these championship fights, where we can wait 7 months for one guy to fight for a title, but then all of a sudden when Oliveira and Tsarukyan and Gaethje and Holloway fight in 2 rightful potential number 1 contender matchups, all of a sudden Makhachev just needs to fight now. I need to fight now. It's got to be someone else. It's got to be Poirier, I guess. I understand. He's free. He's a big name. It's going to be a big fight. He's got a shot. He has a chance to do it. I don't think he's going to. But, this is a fight, I guess. It's a great main event. It's going to be a big fight. I'm not complaining. It's a huge matchup. He don't deserve it, man. He beat Benoit Saint Denis. I know I picked Benoit to beat him. You know, Ben Wild's stuff, it is what it is. He probably would have lost anyway. He was fighting very sloppy, no striking defense, looked very awful on the feet, waiting to get chinned. Poirier gets the win. Amazing win from Poirier. It's been what? He was number 13 in the rankings. Before that, Poirier got slept by Gaethje. He's been beaten by Oliveira. He's number, 4 in the rankings? Maybe number 3? He doesn't deserve the title shot, but here we are just giving title shots. Not because the number 1 contender deserves it. Not because the champion just needs to fight this contender right now. Dude, ask Arman if he's ready. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we waited and then we just went, yep, announce Poirier. We've seen the title elimination bouts for Makhachev. Go ahead and announce Poirier for the fight. I mean, I guess we may have Arman in reserve, so maybe Makhachev will be active now and we'll see him fight in June against Poirier, and if he wins, then immediate turnaround for October in Abu Dhabi against Arman Tsarukyan, and we just get that fight anyway, and then we can have 2 title defenses on the trot. But, weird decision-making, like it's purely based on star power. We've got Adesanya getting a title shot against Dricus du Plessis. He has done nothing since losing to Sean Strickland. He's already had his immediate rematch after losing to Pereira. He then made no defenses and lost it immediately after. Straight back into a title elimination bout. Like, it's annoying me. Some of the scheduling is annoying me. I love the fight. Huge matchup. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. It's going to be an amazing card because we've got the co-main event, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I'm going to have to go Islam Makhachev, and that annoys me because I want a matchup like Arman, who looked great against Oliveira. Not great, but he won against Oliveira, where I'm like, oh, I don't know. This could be interesting. I don't think this is going to be interesting. Hopefully Poirier pulls it off. It'll be a crazy story, a really fun ride for him. He's a big name. He's got his title shot at the end of his career, but I've got to go Makhachev. And I guess they just needed that June pay-per-view booked up, and we got it booked up. So, all good. Makhachev's going to win, in my opinion. We move on. Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Amazing matchup. You want to know why? This matchup is just like, it's not just about the fight itself. It's not just about the fight itself. It really isn't. It's about what this adds to a pay-per-view card. You know, Poirier's going to say, paid in full. Makhachev's going to say, hey, smashing brother, you know. This guy, who'll give this guy black belt bloody. He's going to say a few things like that, and that might go viral because, you know, there's some moments. There's going to be some one-liners here and there. This makes a fight week. This makes an embedded series. This makes a press conference. This is what you need on a card. Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa, the perfect support act. 5-round co-main event. We heard recently that Sean Strickland was complaining about being paid not enough. I guess they met his demands. He said they did. And they paid him a little bit extra. So maybe he's on that 250 for 250 now. He was complaining about not quite getting the 200 for 200 that he wanted. So maybe he's on 250, 250, 200 for 200 with some kind of incentive on top of it. Who knows? Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. Wicked matchup. Epic fight. I'm going to go Sean Strickland to win this fight. Very composed. Can pick his shots at range. I'm going to be real with you right now. Paulo Costa, after his last performance against Whittaker, now that we're seeing that he's going to stay active, which means he didn't get injured against Whittaker, even though he took some damage, did not get injured, probably right back in the gym, looking to fight again, start his whole new training camp, shows that he's fresh and healthy. He looked great in the Whittaker fight. He did look good in the Whittaker fight with the low kicks. And I'm telling you, dude, he's got a real shot against Strickland style-wise. Because what can Costa do? He can push you back. And that's what you got to do against Sean Strickland. Now, Dricus, he pulled it off in a very close fight that could have gone either way. So I think Paulo Costa is going to be able to do what Dricus did and then some, enough to clearly win a fight over Sean Strickland. Probably not. I'm going to go Sean Strickland to win. Paulo Costa doesn't deal well with straight shots. We've seen him rearing his chin up in the air against Whittaker when Whittaker came in with the jab, and he kind of just puts his hands out and closes his eyes. So I will be going with Sean Strickland here, but Paulo Costa's a live dog in this matchup. Wicked kicks, powerful shots. The only problem with Paulo Costa is you look at him throw shots, and he's the Rafael Fiziev of middleweight, is what he is. You watch him throw shots, you watch him throw kicks, and you're like, wow. Don't get hit by this guy. You know what I mean? That's what you think in your head when you see this guy throwing combinations. But you know what, man? I ain't going to be the guy to bet on Paul. He has to win this fight by finish if he wants to win. He ain't going to win it if it goes the distance. And I'm not betting on Paulo Costa to finish someone. It's sad that that's the reality. I don't know how these people are taking his head kicks. I just don't know how they're not getting KO'd by his shots. Rockhold was eating them. You know, that's a bad look. Rockhold's proving that you ain't got power. That's a bad look, because that dude's chinny as anything. So, Bisping knocked him out. Yeah, Bisping hits weak. Real weak for middleweight. But Paulo Costa, tough dude, will give it a scrap. I reckon he'll lose maybe 4-5 TKO. Maybe he'll lose a decision where Strickland picks it up as the fight goes on. But I will think he will start this fight strong, and he probably wins the first, makes a close second, and then it starts to get worse and worse for him with Strickland getting his jab out there. But there are openings on Strickland. There are openings on Strickland if you push him backwards, and Costa has the ability to do so. I'm just not going to bet on him by finish, and that's what I think he needs to do to win this fight. But great matchup. If Strickland wins, I guess this sets him up for maybe, like, in their ideal world, Adesanya beats Strickus, and then they can just run back Adesanya Strickland, which would be all right. But then they just said Khamzat Chimaev Whitaker was for a title shot. So I think it really depends on who wins what. I doubt Whitaker gets a title shot if he beats Khamzat. I'm going to be real with you. If Strickland wins and Whitaker wins, they're not doing Whitaker Duplessis 2, and they're not doing Whitaker Adesanya 3. Sorry to tell you that, Whitaker. They're only saying that because in the case that Chimaev wins, they'll immediately give him a title shot. So if Strickland wins this, he might still be waiting. What we could do is, if Chimaev beats Whitaker in June is looking amazing, by the way. We got McGregor coming back. We got this card. We got Saudi card. We got 2 fight night cards. Five cards in June. Probably the best fight month we've ever had. And if Sean Strickland wins this fight, I guess he could play the backup opponent game. But hey, Jared Cannonier exists, and he now no longer has an opponent against anyone. So it's tough. It's tough for Jared Cannonier. Maybe he turned this down. Maybe he was their first choice and he's injured. You never know. I'm going to go Sean Strickland, but very close fight, very competitive. We move on to another bit of news. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Wow. UFC 303, Las Vegas, June the 29th, the official return of Conor McGregor against Michael Chandler. At 170 pounds, it annoys me. It really annoys me that this is at 170. They're ranked at 155. All of their type of matchups to make any level of sense relevant to them are at 155. Fight at 155 and make weight. I know McGregor doesn't want to make weight. I know he thinks he's a big man. You're 5'8". Like, he's the biggest 5'8 dude I've ever seen, because I'll see him look the same size as some fucking 5'11", 5'10 guys, because he knows how to angle pictures and he's up on his toes. Greatest posture maybe we've ever seen in combat sports, Conor McGregor has. But you're 5'8", 5'9" at a push. You're not big. You're not a 170 pounder. You're a 155 pounder. And this probably benefits Chandler. Honestly, Chandler's the bigger dude, more muscle bound. Maybe this will mean that it'll be a little bit slower, and that's where McGregor's speed could take advantage. And to be fair, McGregor did look really switched on against Diaz when we saw him in there at 170 against him. In the rematch, especially when he had full preparation for 170. So maybe McGregor comes back looking fast and sharp and good. In a fantasy world, I really want McGregor to win this fight. Because if McGregor wins, Max Holloway for the fucking BMF belt is immediately the matchup that you make. Immediately the matchup that you make. Ilya's going to rematch Volk. I think they've set that in stone in Australia. I think they literally, I saw a post about that last week, that's locked in. I know Max wants Ilya to Poirier, but I would say Max Holloway, slow your roll. You ain't getting Makhachev now. You ain't going to fight Arman Sarukian. For the love of God, don't. He'll fucking crotch sniff you to a win. Hold out. If McGregor gets this win, Holloway, he's going to be looking for a guy who he can headline against with a belt on the line, and that belt will be the BMF belt in a rematch. Holloway, McGregor 2. Holloway is one of the biggest stars in the sport after what he just did to Justin Gaethje. I still can't get over what he just did. He's now one of the biggest stars in the sport, and that would be a huge pay-per-view seller, and McGregor knows that. And it'd be the last fight on McGregor's contract. And what a way to end your contract with Max Holloway before you go into renegotiations. I think McGregor's probably going to lose. I don't trust him coming back after such a long time. However, Chandler's now been out for a long time, and I think maybe that was a strategy by McGregor. Make Chandler as inactive as he can be, as close as possible to how inactive he's been. Make Chandler inactive, make Chandler age, make Chandler wait, make Chandler train this entire time, never knowing when the fight's going to happen, potentially wearing himself out and getting injured during training camp, and then boom, you spring the fight on him in 2 months' time, and now he's got to get ready, and he's got to continue the training camp that he's probably been in for the past however many months, not knowing when this fight's going to get announced. He probably thought it was going to be UFC 300. He probably thought it was going to be January. He probably thought it could have been December. That's an advantage for McGregor. I will go Chandler. But I could see McGregor pulling it off. He was looking all right against Poirier. He's just been out for so long, and I do not trust his lifestyle. So I'm going to go Michael Chandler. Great matchup, though. Huge return of Conor McGregor. It needs a supporting undercard, though. What they used to do with McGregor was have a co-main event of Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington 2. You know what I mean? And they'd have a shitty co-main event and a terrible card underneath it with a couple of up-and-coming names, but nothing that would also cost them money or have to share a pay-per-view percentage with or anything like that. What you've got to do for this June 29th pay-per-view, International Fight Week, Ian Gary, Colby Covington as a co-main event is what you need. You need a great build-up. Imagine Ian Gary, Colby Covington, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, all at the same press conference. What other fights could you add to this card? I mean, Diego Lopez, I know you might want to fight in the Sphere, but people like this, we've got to have these types of names that people are going to be must-see TV. Maybe an Aljamain Sterling, Brian Ortega. Not a fun matchup, but a big-name matchup that they could do. There's a bunch of options for matchups that they could make. We'll see what they decide to go with. Maybe a Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Nurmagomedov name value on the same card as McGregor. There might be some kind of interaction backstage. You never know. You could have Team Nurmagomedov there. Maybe Habib shows up to the event, bait him in. Maybe you get an interaction on Embedded where Habib walks through a corridor and McGregor walks through at the same time, you know. Like, these are the things you have to sort of plot out for these types of cards. I do think we need a stacked card for this, though, and I'm hoping that we get a stacked card for this. And if Moicano don't get the Pimlet fight and he wants to make a turnaround because he just got a nice and easy win, how about Moicano Dan Hooker? How about Moicano versus Dariush? Someone who's going to bring that energy into the build-up and bring that energy and capitalize on the spotlight that this card is going to be. We need it stacked. Paul Hughes should make his debut on this card. Irish prospect, one of the best free agents in the game right now. Let's see how it goes. June is looking stacked. We've got Saudi card. We've got this card, International Fight Week, with McGregor headlining. We've got, these two fights on a pay-per-view as well. Sign me up. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Dana's cooking, and the UFC is back in action. No more shitty Apexes. We've made it through the dirt. See you in 2 weeks for Perez versus Nicolau. Goodbye. Toodle pip. I'm going to bed.